I've noticed this very American take, which is quite progressive in its nature, that of taking away the women's rights to vote. Like, I think they're not going far enough. I think they're still having progressive brain rot because the correct solution is to take away the peasantry rights to vote. Like, the European take is, why should the poor vote? Like, what do the masses know? Only the wealthy, the ones that actually have a stake in the nation, should vote. So we're talking about the CEOs, billionaires, people that own corporations. Like, those are the only ones that matter. And of course, like politicians like Hillary Clinton that have dynasties, the actual aristocracy, the Bushes. Like, they're the ones that should be able to vote because they're the ones that actually understand what's going on. Like, allowing, like, imagine this, imagine this, like some guy in his ghetto sitting at a computer, like having a right to vote. Preposterous. All jokes aside, though, I do notice that there's this constant conversation on the internet, and it's going on since like 2016, where you have people, and almost always from America, like never from Europe, that are saying society would be better if women didn't vote. And there's like one problem with that. Like, if you don't have the numbers to get your guy in, like you lack because like that's what democracy is, right? Like the number of people you have, which also includes like resources, purchasing power, political pressure. It's not just like going to the vote. It's all of these things together. And if you lack the numbers to get your guy in, how are you going to change the constitution? But apparently, like, no one is wondering that. It's mostly, I think, like about feeling good. It's like you go online, you tweet, you doom scroll, and you say, oh, if only women wouldn't have a right to vote, click, 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 enter, and then you attack anyone that disagrees with you. And it feels good, but it doesn't change anything, right? Like, you're not actually looking at what's happening. You're not going to make anything matter. And I think, like, the rich actually like that. Like, I think they genuinely like if the peasantry argues amongst themselves rather than trying to find out what the solution to the problem is. And in order to find the solution, we first need to understand what the problem is to begin with, right? The main issue that I think is to notice that it's only an American thing, but not a European thing. And the reason is that if you actually look at the percentages, like here, you will actually notice that, yeah, like in America, women disproportionately vote left-wing compared to places in Europe where the voting tally is a lot closer. And so you need to understand what's going on, because like Europe also has a lot of left-wing politicians. And so the main issue that I think is that the ideological straight in America is a lot more feminist-oriented. See, when people talk about socialism, it's not necessarily like the ideology of Karl Marx that's the problem. I mean, that's the progenitor. But from it, like hydras, sprang different ideologies. And the whole idea is to empower the state, is to make the government God. And this would cause higher taxation from people. This would cause a decrease in standards of living. But you have the promise that the government will take care of you. And in order to convince people to do this, there's various ways. But all of these ways require spreading society. It's turning neighbor against neighbor in order to cause enough dissent so that people advocate for the government to step in to quench said dissent. And you can do it in various ways. You can do it by gender, which is what's happening in America. Like, you had feminism, you had all of these ideologies that are still causing brain rot today. But in the Communist Union, when Lenin went to power, women didn't have a right to vote. And it was men that were actually fighting on the streets on the Communist Revolution. And the reason for that is that they didn't use feminism. They actually used income, right? So they used income disparity. They pushed for the idea of cracking down on the aristocracy and the clergy. So it's still an ideology that divides. It's just that it's an ideology that divides amongst economic factors. You can do it based on age. Like, for instance, you can say that the old people are a burden. The elderly are taking too much. They have done this in certain Asian countries. You can also do it based on ethnicity, right? Like Nazi Germany, for instance, like they were really big on separating the nation between the Aryan German and the not. So the idea of like, oh well, women are the problem. It's like, yeah, because like the ideology is currently catered to appeal to young women, and I think they did such a good job of it that Kamala Harris was actually incapable of winning because the young men didn't go to vote. So the problem isn't that women are voting. The problem is that men aren't disciplined enough to understand their interests and enact their political power. Because if you actually look at the situation, right, like if every single man would just choose not to go vote, like it's not even that you have to go there. Like even if you don't want to do that, like with Kamala Harris, a lot of men just didn't go vote, but it ends up that the candidate can't win. It's also, of course, like some places are unironically going to be left-wing. Like, for instance, California, right? Like, I don't see California voting red, and I don't see Texas voting blue. Like, certain things are the way they are because of culture, because of ideology, because of migration. Sure, you can argue what caused it, but I don't think you should be surprised when you see a leftist winning in California. The actual problem with this guy, with Zorhan, is that I've noticed in my country a lot of people supporting him. Now, this is fascinating for me because Romanians, obviously, they didn't watch the American news cycles. They probably don't know many of his controversies. But what they do know is that he promised cheaper supermarket prices, and he promised that he's going to fix renting prices. And Romanians think that this is a good idea. Now, the reason they think it's a good idea is because they don't understand economics at all. Like, for Romanians, and I've noticed this happening a lot, they usually cheer when minimum price is raised. Now, what's specifically different about my country than many others is that when you drive a car and you receive a fine, like a traffic violation, it's actually set based on the minimum income price. So if the minimum income price rises, then when you get a fine, right, you pay more. Taxation is also set on the minimum income price. And so when you're paying for healthcare in Romania, there's a ceiling. It's like you're paying, I think it's like 25% of your income for medical bills, right? CASS. But that is tapped. There's a ceiling for that of, I don't know, like 40 minimum income wages. And so people that are cheering whenever the minimum wage goes up are economic illiterates, because they think it's like, okay, well, someone else is making more money. It's like, yeah, but like you're going to pay more, right? This is why the government raises the minimum income wage. It's so that it can collect more taxes. But people don't know that. They're unaware, right? And so like if they don't know even the basic bitch things that affect them, how can they know things like price controls and why they're bad? Like how can they understand why is it bad to have a supermarket that the government pays for? Or why is it bad to have rent controls? They generally don't know, right? And so the reason they don't know is because the government wants them not to know. Like none of these things are actually taught in schools. None of these things are even encouraged on the mainstream media to be discussed. And even on social media, you see all these doom scrollers. It's like, oh, repeal women's rights to vote, do this, do that. When you're acting like that, which is basically like showing contempt to your fellow citizens, when you're acting arrogant and better than everyone, no one is going to listen and actually try to understand why is it bad because they voted the way they did, right? Like you're basically gatekeeping people from trying to interact with your side of the argument. And I don't know, I mean, if you think this is a winning solution, maybe it is. But what I do know is that, again, as I mentioned before, if you don't have the numbers to get your guy in, how do you expect to have the numbers to change the Constitution? And also, I'm a little bit skeptical about this whole thing. It's like taking away women's rights to vote is going to cause the utopia. Women didn't have a right to vote during the alcoholic prohibition in the United States of America. And yet they managed to change the law and do something that no other Christian nation has done, as far as I'm aware, which is to ban alcohol. Was it needed? Was it required? Was it a good thing? And by the way, like, most people didn't even agree with it, which is why, like, police officers didn't enforce it that much, and were also willing to take bribes and become corrupt when the mafia started trading it. Because, like, in their mind, it's like, it's just alcohol, right? Like, they haven't convinced the people that alcohol should be banned. They just enforce it on the people. And, well, everyone knows the problems with the prohibition in the US. But my point is, like, women didn't have a right to vote then. So how did they manage to do it? By convincing men, which is what women have done since time immemorial. Like, they go out, they protest. Some of them may at some point get beaten by a cop. Looks really bad on camera, right? And so in a place where women don't have a right to vote, the men will look at that and it's like, well, I need to defend them. I need to help them, right? Because it's not fair. I mean, it's part of human nature to think as such. And in my opinion, when they do get the right to vote, they actually lose power. They lose power because now they're one vote. Before, they were a simping manufacturing machine, right? Like, they go out, they cry, it's like, oh, no one listens to us, no one cares about us. They're going to convince a lot more men by doing that. When they do get the right to vote, well, it's just one vote now. And also, it's probably like a release valve. Like, they're less likely to go on the streets and try to convince people of their way, right? Instead, they will think like, it's okay, I'm going to go to the booths, I'm going to exercise my right. Still, as I mentioned, it's an American problem. Like, I don't see it in Europe. And more interestingly, in Europe, the voting disparity, yeah, like, women tend to go liberal. But it's not that severe as in the United States. Like, you're not going to get, an 84% like this. I would not listen to what people on Twitter are saying, that you shouldn't persuade women to be on your side. No, you should. They're your citizens. Like, you have to live with them. You can't force them. They can leave the country, right? Like, at the end of the day, if you're a woman and you notice that people are becoming unreasonable around you and they don't want to talk, you do have a passport, you do have an ID, you can literally leave the nation, right? You can go someplace else. Many Romanian women do this for economic reasons, but, like, it could happen for ideological reasons as well. I'm just saying, like, maybe people haven't thought about it way too much. And I noticed that a lot of these people also don't have daughters or aren't married. Like, they have this idea of a woman that's formed from the internet, which, again, is not entirely incorrect, especially in the United States, where you have, like, a lot of laws that do favor women when it comes to divorces and especially when it comes to children. But I do think that the situation is a little bit more complex than they're trying to paint it. And I do think that it is actually important for politicians to see why is it that women vote much for the other side, and how can it be fixed. And I think it can be fixed with actual economic education, which is severely lacking from not just America, but, like, the entire Western world right now. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.